as we see. So stay with us as we listen to both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story.
We always need to hear both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session, hour 106.
If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it is almost certain you won't. If you think you lose, you're lost. For out of the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have
Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and stars. You have arrived with the gifts and with the heart. It is real to you. No doubt the universe is unfolding, and it's true.
Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness, beyond a wholesome discipline. Be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to No doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive Him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life. Keep peace with your soul, with all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams. It is still a beautiful world. Be careful. Strive to be happy. You are a child of the universe. Knowledge of the trees and stars. You have arrived to be here. You are a child of the universe. Knowledge of the trees and stars. You have arrived to be here. You are a child of the universe. No less with the trees and the stars. You have arrived to be here. You are a child of the universe. No less with the trees and the stars. You have arrived to be here. You are a child. You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and the stars. You have
So you listened there to desiderata, which means things wanted or needed. That's what desiderata stands for. Things wanted or needed. And so we shared with you the usual, a poem. And this one is the one we shared earlier was The Man Who Thinks He Can by Walter D. Wintle, 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 Walter D. Wintle, The Man Who Thinks He Can. And then we shared with you the spoken word piece, Desiderata, Les Crane being the announcer. And in fact, he was a television talk show host, a pioneer in interactive broadcasting, who also scored a spoken word hit with his 1971 recording of the poem Desiderata, winning a Best Spoken Word Grammy. He was the first network television personality to compete with Johnny Carson after Carson became a fixture of late night television. So that's a bit of the background there for you as well. And let's get to it. It's the International Decade of Healthy Aging. Yes, we're still there. The International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. The International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. The Decade of Action for Road Safety. And the UN International Decade of Indigenous Languages. It's National Sibling Day in the USA. The world is still celebrating Autism Awareness Month. And here in Jamaica, the month of April is still being observed as Cancer Awareness Month, Farmers Month, and Manufacturers Month. Hoy es miércoles el 10 de abril 2024 y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa, Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado, porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones. Y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir both sides of the story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos. C'est mercredi le 10 avril 2000. Le 10 avril 2020. Oh, I'm mixing up my Spanish with my French now. C'est vendredi le 10 avril 2024 et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutez où que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être à votre service pour une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme l'un de soi parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue. All we're saying is it's Wednesday, the 10th of April, 2024, and we greet you well, wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices. And that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome.
Follow the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development on Instagram and X at local.ja. The time by the ministry is
2:15. No less than the trees and the stars. You have arrived.
Good afternoon to those of you tuned in right here on Power 106 FM on your smart devices, those who are listening to their radios, those via their computers, their cell phones, as we said, and those who have found other means of listening and participating in both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. What's on your mind this afternoon? We're always happy to hear from you, always anxious and curious to find out the matters that are consuming your thoughts. Please feel free to share. 876-922-4112 to 5 are the regular lines. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. So we're looking forward to your full participation throughout the program. After all, it is your program, Both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Good afternoon to Leo Gilling. We haven't exchanged words in a while, Leo Gilling. Good afternoon to you. He says, Hola, Dervan. The glasses fit you. Welcome, my friend. You're very kind, Mr. Gilling. Valerie Weller-Carpeck says, good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Courtesy of Valerie Weller-Carpeck. Norman Hines is greeting us. Good afternoon, Norman Hines. Mikey Jarrett says, good Wednesday afternoon, blessings and blessed love, my brother Dervan Malcolm from Brooklyn, New York. Blessed love to you too, Mikey Jarrett. Norman Hines, as we said, has greeted us as well. So too Audrey Smith in Southampton in England, saying, afternoon, Dervan and listeners everywhere. Looking forward to another session of both sides of the story. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll do the best we can. Thank you very much, Audrey Smith. Ricardo in Glengolf, St. Catherine, pulling from a couple of the translations and sharing them online as well. And Robert Young saying, happy Wednesday afternoon to you, Brother Dervan. Happy Wednesday afternoon to you too, Robert Young. Thank you for your interest, participation, and support in both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. And as we have said, the lines are open. So over to you, our faithful listeners at home and abroad. What's on your mind this afternoon? What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? What are your issues? What are your concerns? What questions do you have? Etc., etc., etc. We'll do the best we can. And the way we've fashioned a program of this nature over the years, we try our best to do the best we can. And we thank you very much for your indulgence and participation, as we said earlier on. Let's give our listeners an idea of some of the stories that are doing the rounds right now. And we are going to use that as our launching pad this afternoon, just so we set the pace in terms of aligning the similarity of some of the thoughts and ideas and questions and issues. So here is a call. This is the first of the stories we're sharing with you. Williams wants PNP's Gordon to withdraw comments about municipal cops in case KSAMC. A call has been made for Dennis Gordon, chairman of the Finance Committee of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, to withdraw his assertion that municipal police officers in the capital were untrained. That would be quite something if that is in fact so, because training is paramount in that field, in that area, enabling one to carry out certain duties. That is key. So we'll follow up on that one. Update. Operations resume at Kingston Wharves. Kingston Wharves Limited says it has resumed operations at all its facilities. This follows earlier temporary suspension due to air quality issues associated with a fire at the Riverton City landfill. And let's see what the explanation is for those who'd like to hear further and better particulars. So there was the earlier temporary suspension due to air quality issues associated with the fire at Riverton City landfill. Kingston Wharves says the resumption applies to vessel and gate operations on the terminal, services on at all warehouses, and motor vehicle operations at its Global Auto Logistics Center at Tinson. So that's a brief update on that seemingly unusual or questionable cloud cover and smoke filled areas. But now we know what that has been about, and so we just need to continue to be smart in terms of how we guard against being negatively impacted by the changes in the environment, both according to nature and at times influenced by mankind. All right, everybody got that? So let's go to another of those stories. NWC board to speak on the fate of Mark Barnett soon. That's another of the stories trending according to the Gleaner. NWC board to speak on fate of Mark. The public is expected to know the fate of embattled National Water Commission NWC Mark Barnett soon. Barnett was placed on administrative leave by the NWC's Board of Management in October last year, arising from a report by the Integrity Commission, which found that he allegedly built an apartment complex in violation of building permits. And the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, in a ruling issued in January, stated that no criminal charges could be brought against Barnett as the time frame for doing so had passed. At a post-cabinet press briefing Wednesday morning, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Matthew Samuda, told journalists that he anticipates that the Board of Management of the NWC will make a statement on the matter soon. You can follow up on those stories as you continue to keep a track of what's happening. Health Ministry issues health precautions amid Riverton dump fire. And let's see if they've included some sound words of advice in terms of how we should navigate the environment when the conditions are as they have been. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is advising residents of Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Catherine to limit outdoor activities, wear face masks, and take other precautions against smoke inhalation following the fire at the Riverton City landfill in St. Andrew. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie says persons with respiratory illnesses such as asthma and other vulnerable groups, including pregnant women, are urged to be particularly careful. She says closing windows and doors is recommended until the air quality improves. Caregivers are also advised to look out for signs of distress among infants, children, and the elderly. These signs include difficulty breathing and irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat, ENT. Persons with lung, heart, or other cardiovascular conditions should ensure an ample supply of medication is on hand and continue with these as prescribed. The ministry says members of the public must seek medical attention if experiencing shortness of breath, excessive coughing, wheezing, or tightness in the chest. That's the word from the Chief Medical Officer, the Chief Medical Officer, here she is. We just needed to, right, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa Mackenzie. So we hope we will all take note and action where necessary to protect ourselves. How about that? Let's see the other stories that are doing the rounds. Netanyahu's approach to war against Hamas, a mistake. Kingston Wharves suspends operations and amid pollution from Riverton. And the final teaser is police officer among suspects after drugs found on Suriname Airways. Thank you very much for your indulgence as we use the few minutes to share with you some of the stories that are trending. In the meantime, good afternoon to Jeannie Chambers. Thank you very much for your message. Teb Gig says, votre français est très bon. Merci beaucoup. And he says, bonjour, brother Dervan from Montreal, Quebec. We miss Quebec. It's been a few years since we last visited and fell in love with that place. Let's see. Thank you very much. As we go over to the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, let's remind you of the numbers. The regular call-in, we have to take the break. So let's take the break and come back with our guests in this next segment. All right, we're just standing by. In just a moment, we're going to be hearing from Andrew Clark. He's going to be speaking. Well, let's take the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now 2:30. Giving away millions in the Farm to Fortune promotion. Buy any qualifying high-protein and text the entry code in the bag for your chance to win. Enter today. Conditions apply. Authorized on Section 58.3 of the Petty Gaming and Lotteries Act. Are you passionate about agriculture? Join hands with the Jamaica Parents Clubs, the leading youth organization dedicated to supporting the next generation of youth participants in agriculture. Unleash your agricultural potential through our stimulatory and mastery level training, enterprise support programs, tractor operation and maintenance, along with our agricultural scholarships and bursaries to help you achieve your academic goals. Stay connected. Follow us on social media today at Jamaica 4-H Clubs. The Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, as part of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, will be hosting its PATH Top Achievers Award Ceremony 2024 under the theme, Celebrating Empowerment Through Education. Join Power 106 FM for live broadcast of Power Talk this Thursday, April 11th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
from the Spanish Court Hotel on St. Lucia Avenue, Kingston, for coverage of the event. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, providing opportunity, stability, and social protection. That's a live broadcast of Power Talk from the Path Top Achievers Award Ceremony this Thursday, April 11th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Spanish Court Hotel in Kingston, right here on Power 106 FM.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm as we continue to cover Jamaicans at home and abroad. And there is a Jamaican who is very well known for being quite the thespian. In fact, he's described as a thespian blooming where he's planted. And he is a part of a group called Brata, Braata, known for its folk singers, grand market, and various stage productions. But the biggest, boldest part of Brata Productions is the founder and executive director, Mr. Brata himself, Andrew Clark. He is a world-class thespian whose range in both acting and singing are incomparable. Let's greet the gentleman. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Clark. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Dervan. What an introduction. I hope I can live up to that. Thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you join us here on Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. And we have had the pleasure of your company on this program before. But of course, we like to keep in touch with our guests ever so often. So we thought we'd check in with you this afternoon on both sides of the story to see how things have been since last we were on air.
Yeah, man, a lot has happened, and we're in 2024, and Brata is proud to be celebrating our 15th anniversary. And so that's quite a milestone, and we have a year packed with activities, coming up to celebrate that milestone.
When do the celebrations begin?
We could say they have started already, but they officially start on the 2nd of May for our Crystal Gala at the Green Tree Country Club, and then run throughout the rest of the year. We have an off-Broadway production coming up also in May, and then we will have a series of other cultural events to celebrate the milestone.
And how is it going to be an extended series of celebrations? I mean, without giving away too much, if you're not ready to give away information.
We're actually rolling out quite a bit in terms of extension. This year, for example, we have an event called Caribbean, which normally happens the last weekend in June, and that's typically a Queen's event for one day only. This year, we're expanding to Brooklyn. That now becomes a 2-day affair. Our Bangor Caribbean Culture Festival, held the second week in August, is normally a 1-day event in Queens. Brooklyn has called for it, and so we're now at a 2-day affair. That then takes us to our Labor Day parade on the New York City. As part of the New York City Labor Day parade, we have a float, and we started that float back about 2 years ago, and that float is now expanding this year, obviously in commemoration of the 15th. And then Christmas Grand Market, which ends our calendar year. Our season runs July through June, but our calendar year in December, we have Christmas Grand Market. That is officially now a 3-day event. So it's a 3-day, 3-bar event, Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. So quite a bit in the way of expansion. And from a non-public facing standpoint, or we have a senior center series. The folk singers perform lunch hour concerts in senior centers across the boroughs. We've been doing that extensively in Queens, and this year that will be expanded further in Brooklyn, and then we'll be going for the first time to the ground.
Mhm. Sounds like a packed schedule, and the demand is growing.
Yes, yes, it is. I'm really happy as word is getting around, and the word of mouth is one of the best means of advertisement, and that's how it's been getting around. And we've had a selected officials call us post performance at senior centers, for example, and they've never got such a slew of calls after a performance at a senior center saying we loved the group, we want them to come back. And I think that's an indication of us providing not only entertainment but high quality entertainment that's truly impactful.
How about taking us back to the beginning? How did all of this get started?
Ah, gosh, I started to do that recently as we're putting together the journal and we're writing, we're doing a pictorial as well as a written history of Brass, and it's something that we've never actually thought to do for a long time. So we're doing some archival work, and I'm thinking back to when we started. The idea of Brass had started because I lived in Miami for about 2 years, and Florida, so it had some art engagement, some art possibilities, very spread out as a state, and so not as rich and populated and dense as New York City is. And so I decided to drive to New York City to chase this idea of making it on Broadway. But within just a few months, I quickly recognized that making it on Broadway is not just about being able to sing, dance, and act, but you have to have connections. You have to be a part of the union. If you didn't have a manager, there were so many hurdles. And to cap that off, I had a thick Jamaican accent, and not many productions were auditioning Caribbean actors. So opportunities for us as Caribbean actors were very few and far between. And so rather theater workshop was birthed where we would restage Caribbean production and give actors like myself a platform to showcase our talent. And so Brata Productions was born a few months later. We started the Brata Folk Singers, and now, 15 years later, we're boasting close to 15 programs. You know, family family festivals, 3 annually. We have after school programs in schools in Queens and Brooklyn, Senior Center, and Arts Engagement, also in Queens and Brooklyn, and the Senior Center performance. So quite a bit has happened in the last 6 years.
Mhm. And who or what has been the wind beneath the wings of Brata?
Gosh, I would have to say it's invitation. I think about when the folk singers, and I reference the senior centers a lot because I just love my seniors. I love the golden ages, like we call it in Jamaica. And most of our audience tends to skew middle age to older, and I distinctly remember having seniors come up to me and hold my hand and say, "Thank you, young man, for reminding me of my mother and my grandmother and folks that are my parents doing the same." So that has such inspiring because we are providing nostalgic entertainment. We're giving people a space to call home. We're reminding them of home because it's one thing to be in a foreign country and be a foreigner. You're trying to make this place your home, but you'll always be other. And brought up for a lot of our patrons is that space. It's a place where we feel like home. We can see ourselves and we see ourselves on stage in ways that we don't normally see in mainstream American.
Mhm. And when you interact with those unfamiliar with the Jamaican parlance like Brata, uh, that is truly a conversation starter, isn't it?
Yeah, man, it is. It's funny though. A board member recently, we had a new board member join, and he's Dominican from the Dominican Republic. And he said part of the reason he was drawn to Granda was when he looked at the website, he did research on the organization and saw that the name meant more or extra. He said, "We have a name like that in the Dominican Republic." And he had to call like an aunt or someone the word brother is not used often in contemporary Jamaican society. That word was not really often was no longer being used in the Dominican Republic. So yes, it's always a point of conversation. And my little way of explaining it is, the popularity with African now. I say it's like if you go to a Jamaican restaurant and the food is good, or you want a little bit extra in the case, if they give me some brother, they're bound to have a good laugh. So that's how we always make the connection with the word brother and people and contemporary music.
Yes. And what is it do you think about the Jamaican people, the Jamaican spirit, the Jamaican heritage, which garners so much interest and support from audiences at home and abroad? To what would you put it down to?
I don't think you can put it down to one thing. There's so much about being Jamaican that is unlike any other country. And I'm thinking of other Caribbean countries. And I think to a few and recognize the commonalities. There are many shared experiences across the island. I recently went to Barbados, been to Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts. Feels like home in a lot of ways because they're all, along the Caribbean Sea. But there's just something about the side of the Jamaicanness. I mean, I think of our folk culture, which I'm a huge lover and proponent of. It's so much, it's so rich. I mean, we have folk forms, almost a folk form for every single parish. I don't think there's any other Caribbean island or country in the world that can boast that sort of rich cultural heritage. And then expanding beyond that to talk about and rap, reggae dance hall, the impact of our athletes. It's a combination of the flavors of our food, the warmth of our people, and then the rich and diverseness of our culture, even beyond this idea of out of many one. If you just look at cultures that have um, made their way from our African ancestors, that alone has so much richness to it. So I think that's part of the allure, Jamaican just I think Jamaican is just nice.
Yes, I love it. Hold it a moment there, though. We need to take a break, listeners. You've been tuned into both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM, listening to the founder and executive director of Brata Productions, Andrew Clark.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45.
Tune in every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. for Your Legal Corner with Dana Walker Huntington, doing both sides of the story with Dervan Malcolm on Power 106 FM. It's your source of information regarding U.S. immigration matters. Combined with Power 106 FM's pioneer of diaspora broadcasting. Call in with your U.S. immigration queries and concerns on 876-924-11225 or send a text or WhatsApp message to 876-279-8598 and get the answers you need for your U.S. immigration questions. That's Your Legal Corner with Dana Walker Huntington, Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. during both sides of the story with Dervan Malcolm, only on Power 106 FM.
Even the dull and ignorant, they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. You are a child of the universe. You know less than the trees and stars. You have the right.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on this afternoon's edition of Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm, and we welcome those of you just joining us. Hello to the usual crew who are always with us. Thank you very much for making it both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Faye Weller says, "Blessed afternoon, Mr. Dervan and faithful listeners. Keep up the good work. I'm here listening and watching." Thank you very much, Faye Weller. and all the very best. Teb Gig says Quebec is still beautiful and goes on to say, not as warm as Jamaica as yet, though. So they're having a discussion about Jamaica. It is such a pleasure to listen to you, Mr. Malcolm, says Teb Gig. I left my country April 1977. Thanks for you and everyone at Poro 106 for providing such broadcasts so we can be informed as to what is happening in our country. Thank you very much, Teb Gig. Paul Miles of the eponymous Paul Miles Foundation says, good day, Dervan. To you too, Paul Miles. Robert C. Gray, a proud alum of St. Catherine High School, says, wonderful Wednesday afternoon to you, Dervan Malcolm, here enjoying a day off from work, thanks to the school district here in Philadelphia, which designated today a day off for all teachers, workers, and students in recognition of the Muslim teachers, workers, and students who are celebrating the Eid al-Fitr Muslim holiday. And well, thank you for sharing that information with us, Robert C. Gray. Hubert Fowlin says, a very wonderful, blessed, and pleasant afternoon to Mr. Dervan Malcolm, both sides of the story, Poro 106 FM, and your listening audiences. Thank you all so much. Keep those comments coming. 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. And the other call-in numbers, 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. So let's get back to our conversation with Andrew Brata Clark, a thespian blooming where he's planted, and the founder and executive director of Brata Productions. So you have given us quite a bit of information already in terms of how you plan to, or how you have started marking the 15th anniversary of Brata Productions. Are there other elements that you will eventually bring into the fold as time goes by?
Certainly, we hope to unveil some other elements that we bring the celebration to a close in 2025. But I think the most noteworthy of the events in the celebration to mention are our gala that's coming up on the second, and then our off-Broadway premiere. And I think this one is particularly special, both for me on a personal level and for the organization. I was recently a member of the cast of the Holiday Come off-Broadway, being one of only two Jamaicans or two persons who were born in Jamaica as part of the cast. And that really lit a fire in me because one, we were celebrating what was a milestone film on stage for the first time, and also being one of such few Jamaicans in a cast of a show that is telling a Jamaican story. And I think it reminded me of the importance of us telling our own story. And so this off-Broadway thing for the folk singers is really, really important because we hope that it will be the first of many such productions. You know, there's been a resurgence or surgence of sorts of productions from Black and Brown voices in the wake of the pandemic, the lockdown, Black Lives Matter, and that may fade, you know, and we as a world may go back to seeing things done as we've been used to them before the pandemic. Rasta doesn't want to see that be the case. But I think we should always have a representation of Caribbean stories, not just Jamaican stories. There's so many rich stories out of other islands that we want to uplift. And so this production, we hope, will bring us success. It will be sold out so that we can continue to bring those productions to the off-Broadway space and not wait on other organizations to uplift our story.
Can you just say a little more about the off-Broadway work to give our listeners an appreciation for what that means?
So I if I want if we go just a little bit in the weeds, so folks understand behind the scenes.
Yes.
Cost, for example, behind bringing a production off Broadway. The average off Broadway production, I want to say, on the low end, can cost about $5 million. That's a production as a non-profit entity or entire operating budget for all our 13 programs is just at about $500,000. So that in itself gives you a sense of what we are about to tackle. The average production, one production alone, typically costs $1 million. This production is going to cost us about $135,000, which is a drop in the bucket, really. That is truly the operating budget of a week of an off-Broadway production. What I like to say, you have to begin to start. So we want to start somewhere. And so this particular production is going to be a very, very limited engagement. It's only 14 shows. We're running Monday through Sunday. And the hope is that it will be a launching pad for us to then be able to do a more extended run. Because a normal off-Broadway production runs for 6 weeks for a limited engagement. So we're really dipping our toes in the water, testing things out, and then hoping that we'll be successful. Houses will be filled, folks will enjoy the show, and then we can consider a longer run, of course, with some producing partners to really beef up the financial needs of an off-Broadway production.
And I would imagine if you have to take the show on the road, that can be quite, well, by virtue of what you've said, it can be quite pricey.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And our folks don't oftentimes think and make the correlation between the cost of a ticket and the cost of production. Broadway productions and off-Broadway productions, those tickets run anywhere from $80 to $150, and that's because these producers have spent millions of dollars, and so the money has to be recouped some way. And so that's why tickets are expensive. The average brasa production, the folk singers, as we think of them as an outfit, tickets are normally only $25. So really not comparable in terms of cost for putting on the show, or even cost in ticket revenue.
Mm-hmm. All right. What can you tell us then with respect to the corporate entities that are transnational, that have Jamaican connections, for example? What kind of interest and have you experienced, and where is that coming from?
It's sad to report that there has not been much interest. And if I can be frank, we really as a people do a good job of talking about celebrating our culture, but when the opportunity presents itself for us to back that financially, we're not always up to the task. So I have a running joke. I said, I like to say Brasa has gotten $15,000 worth of sponsorship from corporate entities in 15 years. We get enough, and that is a fact. So we're really lacking in corporate support. The vast majority of Brasa's funding of a nonprofit comes from government support. We have some elected official partners that are strong advocates for our work, and they're the ones that truly keep us buoyant. But as I'm sure you can come to appreciate, that you want to have a diverse funding mix, and that includes individual donors and corporate sponsors are a really important part of that. But unfortunately, Brasa doesn't have that in our arsenal at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And then we have talks, discussions, conferences, on the orange economy, the creatives, filmmaking, etc. And it seems like something is happening, but then there's either a pullback or a lack of what it takes to go forward, and we seem to end up at the same place.
Yeah, man, I think it boils down to a lack of follow through. So there's quite a bit of excitement. I'm thinking of the most immediate success of the Bob Marley movie. And there is so much excitement around that and potential of the film industry in Jamaica, but the follow through on corporate Jamaica and stakeholders is sometimes lacking. And the newness fades, the euphoria subsides, and it's back to business as usual. And the arts again becomes, the forgotten stepchild, where we're bottom of the totem pole, until we hit another decade.
Mm-hmm. How do you plan to keep the culture alive, in particular in the diaspora?
Yeah, gosh, I'm going on tunes now, and the motivation from patrons that continue to inspire our work. But we are at a point, I think, even as an industry, not just Brother as an organization, but the nonprofit world. We saw during the pandemic where a lot of nonprofits closed their doors. Brother does not have a physical space, but there are a lot of nonprofits, most of them black and brown led, smaller nonprofits like Brother, that did not survive the pandemic because they didn't have the financial infrastructure to allow them to wade through 2 years of a lack of funding, and because there was a pullback from funders during the pandemic. And we've seen, since we've re-emerged and productions have gone back to live presentations, some funders have shifted their funding priorities, and so there's not as much funding as there used to be available before the pandemic. So we're having to be creative, quite honestly, and it's a good thing you come from Jamaica. You take your hand make fashion. Mm-hmm. That is what we've been really creative about. Managing with limited resources and still being able to produce high quality programming, because that has been the basis on which Brata was one of the cornerstones of which why Brata was founded. I felt myself and Carla Bryan.
Hold on, tell us some more right after the break, please. One moment.
Contractors, developers, and small builders. That Coast to Coast group of companies for high quality concrete products. The time by Coast to Coast group of companies is
3 o'clock. Owner of Herbs and Spices Company Paradise Blends, Romeo Mitchell, started his business in 2018 with 1 employee. After being introduced to the Social Development Commission's Local Economic Development Support Program, he received support in financial literacy, bookkeeping, project proposal writing, business plan development, and business registration.
I got 2 grants from SDC, and first grant I would have used it to purchase raw materials and to make my retractable banner that I use to advertise my business. And the second one, I will be using it to design and print my labels.
Mr. Mitchell now has 4 employees and is steadily expanding his business.
Through the SDC, I have seen growth, and I will continue to grow with the help of the SDC.
The Social Development Commission, an agency of the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, promoting the advancement of sport, social, cultural, and economic development.
Make sure you get the net. Your recipe for happiness. Don't forget the net. Yes, and value the best everything where you want the price you really need. Satisfaction always guaranteed. Make sure you get the net. Your recipe for we all love good food. Food made with better quality ingredients to keep our family healthy and happy. Ask for the net at your supermarket or wholesale. Your recipe for distributed by the Urban Trade Committee.
Thank you very much for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm, and our very special guest is the founder and executive director of Brata Productions, and that's, of course, Andrew Brata Clark. And he has been sharing with us some insights into the business of stage productions and related matters. Thank you for holding the line, Andrew. Hello? There you are. Yes, you were going on to tell us some more. It sounded like you were going on to give us a bit more history. You were just
One of the cornerstones of Brasa being founded was to bring high quality performance, Caribbean performances. Because in the few months that I moved to New York, I'd been a part of a few productions and was underwhelmed with the quality of the productions. In hindsight, I now understand that it was because of a lack of resources. In order to produce good quality productions, you need money. So we have been creative in the last few years in continuing, despite limited resources, to try our best to produce high quality performances and hope that houses fill up so that we can pay some of those increasing bills. So that's really the plan, to continue to create good productions, and hopefully we'll attract the right people, that will want to invest in the work that we do to help keep us buoyant.
And how supportive are the community entities that are set up generally to promote the arts right across the various community groups?
Well, I can say, if I'm answering your question correctly, we have some good and meaningful partnerships with organizations like UJA, the Union of Jamaican Alumni Association. They have been, for the last 2 years, staunch supporters of Bratta's work. They promote within their memberships, they buy blocks of tickets, and offer sponsorship dollars where possible. We have that the same in a partner like Jamaica Pico, which is an interesting sort of partnership, because they're in the business of taking care of our athletes during the pen relays. That's food related and huge as education, but they've seen both organizations the value in culture and the work that we're doing, and the cross, kind of like intersection between education and sports and culture.
Yes.
And so those two have emerged as really good partners for Brass. And so we're happy and sending congratulations to Team Jamaica, because that's this year celebrating their 30th anniversary.
Mm-hmm. And you're celebrating your 15th.
Yes.
And so let's take it home for a bit in terms of Jamaica. How often do you get to visit Jamaica?
I try to come home at least once a year, because that is my reset. So I had a standing family engagement that I would come to in January. Didn't manage to get there this year, but Jamaica is my power up. So I have to come home at least once a year.
And what are the must-haves for you once you touch down on Jamaican soil?
All right. So me do some brand promotion now. I have to get the juicy patty with cheese. I'm not supposed to have cheese as a singer. I have to get the juicy patty with cheese and a cocoa bread with a box drink. Open it and put some ice in there. That's the first thing I want to get when I get off the plane. And I will go to the market. I'm from Montego Bay, so I go down to Charles Garden Market, because I'm a shard, and I go to my fruit vendor. And I hope that, depending on when I'm visiting, it's mango season, because I'm a mango lover. So I get my Julie mango, my East Indian, as many varieties as I can, but I'm big on fruit. So those are my go-to. And of course, you have to get things. But those are three things that are touch points from when I come home to Jamaica.
Yes. Yeah. And as you reflect on your journey, and you've been even more exposed globally. How do you feel about the arts in Jamaica, and if you wanted to extend that to the diaspora as well?
Um, I think Jamaica and the Jamaica and the Caribbean have a wealth of talent that is underfunded, and we're not doing as good a job as we could in training or artists and our thespians for the international arena. So I got training in Jamaica, but I quickly noted when I moved to the US that the training that I got at Edna Manley, fantastic college, but the training that I got in the theater department did not equip me for the musical theater world. The average college student, at least in the US, leaves with a bachelor's degree and they can sing, dance, act, play an instrument, and read sheet music. But when I was at drama school, we learned drama only, and I sang, but there wasn't the option to attend music school or attend dance school as well. It wasn't built into the program that of my program of studies. I think we there are an additional focus to be spent on preparing our artists for the international arena. Things like audition preparation, having headshots, not only preparing them for acting on the stage, but acting on film as well, which is altogether a different medium. So there's so much talent in Jamaica that needs to be that needs the proper avenues through which you can train and then expose them to these opportunities that exist internationally. And the world stage is literally so much bigger than the pantomime company and all of these great opportunities that we have in Jamaica. But there's so much world out there. I'm thinking of the many artists that have been fortunate with to go off the tour with the Lion King, for example, that every year comes to Jamaica to recruit. We want to prepare our artists for those opportunities so that we can get more of them out in the international sphere, performing in these tours. I think that would be my biggest hope for our country.
And as we wrap this interview, Andrew, are you able to identify those who who you think perhaps might have a future, but you feel perhaps a little reluctant for one reason or another? I'm just trying to get a sense of whether you have an ongoing interest in encouraging and even mentoring some of the upcoming artists. And
Absolutely. I'm not going to get into mentioning, but I'm big on mentorship because I think of my career when I started fresh out of high school back in 2001. Leaving Cornell College, I was fortunate to have some mentors coming up in through the arts, and it was those persons that I was able to lean on. Um, I can say though that in my nonprofit leadership, in my growth, in the latter years as an art administrator, the lack of a mentor made navigating the industry that much harder. And so mentorship is very, very important. So I'm open, I'm really big on that, and I'm definitely open to mentoring young people. But a huge part of that is folks being open to mentorship because not everyone feels like they need someone, because the world of information is wide open, everything's on the internet, and people still have to be open to the idea of being mentored. But yes, definitely.
so, if you could leave some thoughts with our listeners at home and abroad, and also you could structure it in a in a particular way so that we get as well the reminders of the upcoming celebrations
Mhm.
and
Well,
go ahead.
I would start by saying that the love and admiration of culture in the world that we're living now is not enough. We have to be active participants in ensuring that our culture remains viable and stay alive. And part of that active participation is sharing our culture with young people, but also supporting the culture financially. And that might mean making a donation to an arts organization, whether it's a national dance theater company, company dance theater. There's so many dance companies and performing arts companies in Jamaica that you can support and purchasing a ticket to go see theater. When you see a production on, support. I like my phrase is it takes cash to keep culture alive. And we
Mhm.
can't be shy about saying that anymore. The cultural arts cannot survive just on applause. We need financial support to ensure that the industry remains viable. One cocoa full basket, your support is never inconsequential. It's never too little, nothing never too small. And so we encourage you, if you're listening here in the diaspora, Brata Productions exists, our website, brataproductions.org. That's BRAATA productions.org. We have a suite of events celebrating for our 15th anniversary. The first of which is going to be our 15th anniversary Crystal Gala that's happening on the 2nd of May at the Green Tree Country Club in New Rochelle. Um, then we have our off-Broadway production running at 154 Christopher Street in Manhattan. That's from May 6th to the 19th. And just check out our website for the rest of the events throughout the year. But we welcome folks to come out and support the cultural arts because your support is literally the lifeline that we need to keep our work going.
Indeed, it's been an awesome pleasure, and we can't wait for the next opportunity to speak with you again and to share with our listeners and viewers all over the world the the work that you have been doing. Well, we appreciate you, we celebrate you, we thank you, and we look forward to tracking your progress. And
Thank you.
right, sorry, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dervan. Thank you for always having us and uplifting our work. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's the least we can do. You're the ones doing the heavy lifting. We just feel privileged to be able to share your stories and your work with Jamaica and the diaspora. Well done.
Thank you, sir. You're back.
All the best. Take care. That's Andrew Brata Clark. More in a moment.
And whatever your labors and aspirations. You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now 3:15. If you know I'm from down and get. If it was my sleep to I run the day. So don't make water sickle in one container. For them to read up and the container. I'll shut them out. Run them away. Stop them with the supper and dose them with spray. Use my sleep to flex and my sleep to scream. Protect your household and make them come in. If you know I'm from down and get. If it was my sleep to I run the day.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others,
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, taking your calls on 876-922-4112 to 5, 876 922-411-225. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. And we once again thank Andrew Clark, founder and executive director of Brata Productions, for spending some time with us here on both sides of the story, Horror 106 FM. And they're celebrating 15 years of serving Jamaica, the diaspora, and the rest of the world. Let's check in with some of the messages that you've sent to us. Where do we start? It's a lot of ground to cover as usual, but we'll do our best to go through and see what we have here. Ellery Johnson, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your message. Ras Asta Black is online as well. Bishop Douglas Gooden, always checking in with us. And let's see. Calvin Lake, good afternoon to you. And Claire, greetings to you as well. Thank you for your message. And let's go down the line. Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Happy Wednesday to you and your listeners. Mr. Malcolm, I just want to use this medium to wish the Honorable P.J. Patterson a very happy 89th birthday. I hope he will live to see many more birthdays. Enjoy your special day, PJ. Clarky Bless, Hunstown, St. Mary. Thank you very much, Clarky Bless from Hunstown in St. Mary, for conveying birthday wishes to former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable P.J. Patterson. It's his 89th birthday, and we wish him all the very best. In fact, do we have that happy birthday song? Stevie Wonder? Yeah, let's see if we have it. But other than that, happy birthday to former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable P.J. Patterson, who turns 89 today. And that reminder from Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary. Thank you very much for that reminder. Franklin MacDonald is online as well, as usual. And he has shared a link to Wikipedia having to do with Omar Khayyam. And Omar Khayyam is the individual whose words we generally leave with you, our faithful listeners, when we have finished the day's edition of both sides of the story. So thank you as well, Franklin MacDonald, for the information. So thank you, Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary, for reminding us that today is in fact the birthday of former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable P.J. Patterson. Happy birthday, former Prime Minister Patterson.
In your celebration, all in our mind, that there ought to be a time that we can set aside to show just how much we love you. And I'm sure you would agree, but this is so perfectly that you have a world party on the day you came to be. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I just never understood how a man who got good could not have a David Woods. He said, aside for recognition, because it should never be. Just because some cannot see, but in the clear as he. And they make it become an illusion, and we all know everything. But it's just what time will bring, or in peace I have to sing. Thanks to Martin Luther King. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. For there will never be a holiday. Where peace is celebrated throughout the world. Trying to go through for people like you and you who know the way through is love and unity to all God's children. To bear praises and the whole day should be spent and for remembrance of those who lived and died for the oneness of all people. So let us all begin. We knew that the win, but I'm so holding it. Say it loud as you can. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Whoa. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Ooh, yeah. We are the key, the unity of all people. It's in the dream you had so long ago that lives in all of the hearts of people. Believe me, we'll make the dream become a reality. I know we will, because our hearts tell us so.
At the urgings of Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary, reminding us today is the 89th birthday of former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable P.J. Patterson. It's all the best, Mr. Patterson. And this one from Rohan Johnson at Atlas Ocho Rios. He says, Happy birthday to the late reggae icon Bunny Wailer, coming from Rohan Johnson, Atlas Ocherius, clocking in. All right. And let's go to another one. This one says, "Good day, Dervan. As it relates to water supply in Jamaica, the government needs to be more proactive rather than reactive. The people of Jamaica, even during periods of drought, shouldn't have water shortages. The money they're spending to truck water, they should have used that over the years to put a proper system in place. They need to observe the ants and learn from them." From Jahu, Jahu. And a follow-up message from Jalion. "Is it a fact that nuclear waste or material is burned at the Riverton City dump site? I don't know. If so, by whom and why is residential areas?" From Jalion, worth asking, so that we all know what we're against in the environment. Horace, otherwise known as Spider, says, "Good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. A finance minister somewhere in the world. This finance minister always," this is Spider fooling around now, "always runs his mouth when he is in the pavilion. And when is his time to bat, he can't pass 10. And some of the time, they can't even find him. They have to send in the night watch woman to face the music. And with all of this, all of his mistakes, the players on his side still saying he is the best." So who was this? Spider, otherwise known as Horace. And you know he's Jamaican when he knows how to throw words. It's a Jamaican thing as well, isn't it? Hold it there, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Help us protect Jamaica's borders. Tell us about any illegal guns coming from customs control areas. Call Crime Stop at 311.
Yeah.
The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is 3:30.
You have
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on both sides of the story, Paro 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm. We're going to be taking your calls now. Lisbeth Marlene Clark says, "Good afternoon, Dervan." Good afternoon, Lisbeth Marlene Clark. Velta Wilson, good afternoon to you too. Thank you very much for joining us. And keep those messages coming in as well. And we'll come around to you in good time. Let's go to the phone lines once again. 876-922-4112-5. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling both sides of the story. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Miss Mervis.
Good afternoon to the teacher and historian, and to all the workers of Grandma Glina, Grandma Glina, and the daughter Power 106, and I leave out Glina. Yes, and greetings from the high kingdom of heaven, where the national anthem sings too, and the national pledge is repeated too. Yes, we just finished celebrating Easter, the birth, the death of Christ, and the value of that death. I don't know many people know what the value of it is. Sometimes it's me as a Christian that I find out some of it. But we celebrate it. Some celebrate it in a way that is not very pleasing to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But as I'm here representing him and working for the kingdom, I always have to mention that because I hope this is the last time we have in carnival and out there worship. Because when I notice, according to the word, God is such a God. Down the road, him says 6 days they labor and the one day belongs to him. And the next thing, him said, when you earn, him tell you to keep 9/10 of your earning and give him back 1/10. But those were the days when you have a set of Levites running as you would have called the government of the nation and Israel, and they didn't have any, they weren't given any possession. Whatever was given to God in the temple and whatever belonged to them. If you read the Old Testament properly. See, it's unfortunate that we talk about God and we sing the anthem and we carry on and we love Thanksgiving and all those things. And it is very unfortunate that we could choose any other day to have that carnival revelry but on a day of worship. That is great. And I hope it's the last one. And I hope they find some way to carry it to. It looks like we have to go to around the Jericho March on the road with some serious strong fasting and whatever. You know? So then something only draw down judgment for the rest of them disgusting in the sight of God. And if we don't get up and talk about it and support it, we become victim of ourselves. You see, the next thing, them better, you see this thing about El Nino and climate, them better denounce that thing and stop provoking God, you see. Because no El Nino no controls that word. And him not like idolatry, something in hate. One of the things in hate more than anything else. Anything you put in that place. No. So then if you denounce that nonsense about El Nino, God control this thing all in the Bible. You see when lock down the heavens and the rain no fall. And the prophet pray and the rain come and all them things there. Somebody we know if we pray and block and get him to stop all storm and all them things there. But think we're on here to play a game. People need to realize that this God of heaven is real. And that him control nature, no El Nino no control nothing down here. Alright, let me go down further for my list now. Happy birthday to Mr. PJ Patterson. You know that's the only Prime Minister that responds to every letter, letter I send to him. Yeah. Mr. PJ Patterson.
That's a good habit to have.
Is everything one of the things is he had never found time to have a discussion with me to deal with those programs. That is where him go wrong. But all of the documents and all the letters I sent to Jamaica House while he was the Prime Minister, I have a response here. I can commend him for that. Wish him all the best. Yes, man. The next thing now, when the king tell me to focus on, Mr. Glenn Samuel from the Adventist Church. You see, he tell me to stop writing these letters because nobody don't know what he's saying. Tell them on the radio. Mr. Glenn Samuel from the Adventist Church is being asked. He tell me to tell him to go and be spiritual whatever to the Prime Minister. Yes. Mr. Glenn Samuel, sir, a very anointed preacher from the Adventist Church. The Almighty is commanding you to go and have some spiritual whatever with the Prime Minister. Let him understand who God is. And there's a plan for this nation and you need to understand what eventually happens to people when you're trying to use a plan in a place where God don't really want. Yes, you will have a lot of backlash. God have a plan for this nation and yes, he's trying to do a lot of things, but he's not following the plan that God has for the nation. So he's being asked to go and help him spiritually. Because you see the Constitution, instead not just him, you know, but he's in the driving seat. But the kind of behavior we're seeing with the Constitution is more like the Pharaoh thing when God sent Moses and tell him to let the people go. That starts with him, with the Prime Minister, but that even at the seat right now. That come from way down the road. And let the people
people go allow the people to be independent, and they will not do that. From Mrs. Williams was on the station. I said to her years down the road that the nation is only independent. I said to an Althea program too, and I remember Ralston asking me, "Oh, you get it off the paper that the nation only independent on paper, and he's demanding that the nation be released from this nonsense. We're celebrating independence for how many years and all now. We hook up from this colonial type or something. And God is demanding that the politicians on both sides of the fence get going and release this nation and the constitution. If they draft a new constitution and don't try to keep correcting or doing whatever with this one. Do not sit down there and do that. It's not going to finish with the next 10 years. Well, if they want to take it to a God, man, if they want me to deliver the message, man, takes up here and take the consequences of disobedience. I follow him instruction. I deliver them because I don't want no more liquor on yourself. Professor Miller, God said, I was president of the Parish of Teachers when he was national president. I learned a lot from him about the education system because he know about the joint board of teacher education and all them things. So, but Jerry's I think he was something in the Ministry of Education one time. I can't remember if it was the parliamentary secretary or what. But he needs to go link up with the minister because some of the things that were going on, the minister needs to get some information from somebody who really know. So Professor Miller, you're right, men at risk. We have one of your book around here. Long time, the men are really at risk. They are the ones we have the most problem pull up the jailhouse. And I'm asking you, since you write that book, Men at Risk, you need to get some, I think you're only a preacher too. You need to get some wisdom from him and go help the commissioner of police. Oh, that's the last thing and the most serious one. This matter of pension, Dervan. Pension. Now when I hear the other day that but them name count of pension for them 2 term and all them something. And pension for the member of parliament, them kind of something. If I put it out there because somebody is telling me to find out if I remember that teacher you work 30-something years and then you could get full pension. It's like I am hearing that this new 65-year thing, like that part is removed. And that is what we need to know because if you sit down and work for 40 odd years in some places, going to work 6 days, 40-hour work week every morning and so on. And when you're done sometimes you can't get your pension, you can't even get your pension. And people will tell me that I'm going to do 2 term or 2 term in a politics and get pension. Not a good thing that's supposed to go so. I just bring up this thing to me, Nothing can go so. And in truth and in fact, when I show me, tell them political something, they're not no permanent something either, because every 5 years, they have to go seek to vote again. It's temporary position. Them can't just do 2 term or some couple years and they don't forget pension for something. Some of them not even do anything. And people work for how much years. So we really want to find out. We need to find out if them 30 odd years when you work and get full pension under the previous whatever you call it. If that still holds, or if you're up 65, you're going to get pension. While the politicians them sit down and do 2 term and do nothing for 2 term and get pension. So anyway, that's the serious part of the matter when it comes to this. That the nation must look into and make sure that this nonsense don't continue. Because you can't do 2 little term are doing nothing. Eh? Some of them not do nothing, because them not give them nothing to do neither. Are you talking about pension? And it's not a permanent something else we have to get vote every 5 years. Jamaican people, these are things that we need to look into on a serious note. And we can't continue with this matter with more than 1 prime minister being paid. That is totally wrong. The prime minister is supposed to collect a pension. And you can't be paying 3-4 prime minister and they might have changed it. And then go and provoke him to move somebody, take off some of the burden for the citizens. And then we'll take it off, we're not going to like it. So bless you, Dervan.
Bless you too.
And thank you for allowing me to say what the king would have me say. And I am still waiting to see what will happen to Power 106 because I need to hear Power 106 news. I don't just want to hear news from Power 106 coming from RJ. I love RJ and I listen to them every day. I feel listen there on the headline and stuff. But in fact, Lena can't be your mother, father, grand, great, whatever. You have the little people with Lena. And Lena have news gone down the road long before RJ are coming to be. RJ are a picnic with Lena. How is it that Power doesn't have its own news? I don't know about that, but that's something I put it over. Blessing to all Jamaicans that time. We get up, stand up, academia people. The majority of the time we wake up. We can't sit down and allow eat a food people them for continue running this nation. You prove that you neither like the JLP nor the PNP, that's why you're not voting and you're not participate for this. It can't continue like that. We were educated and they expect us to get up and do something about this nation because we can't just stay there and complain. So if we want some rain, we have to go denounce this about. What the other one, we're sitting in here, what am I talk about, tell me, no, got some. Want some rain, we go repent and beg God some rain and him run things. Bless up to all out.
Okay, Miss Mervis, thank you very much for the call.
Okay, my darling.
Take care. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. We're coming up on another break, and we have quite a few messages still to clear, and I would imagine a call or two as well. So feel free to keep them coming. 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon to Nicola in Central Jamaica. Thank you very much for tuning in. Pleasure to have you on board. And we trust you will enjoy the rest of the afternoon here on Both Sides of the Story. So let's see what we have here now. Let's take the break and come back with more in just a moment.
If you compare yourself, you're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45.
All you'll ever need to know about agriculture in the 21st century, packed into one program. Farm Talk with Alfie McKenzie. Farm Talk, showcasing cutting-edge agricultural products, services, and practices. Farm Talk, keeping focus on issues affecting the farming community. Farm Talk, stimulating discourse to propel agriculture as a national tool for development. Farm Talk with Alfie McKenzie, the farmer's best friend.
When I listen to you in the mornings and the way you interview the people so that us as farmers can really understand, you break it down. It's really powerful.
Wake up to Farm Talk, weekdays 5 to 7 a.m. on Power 106 FM and the Power 106 FM app.
Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Further to a previous message from a listener. Good evening, Dervan. This is a correction to a previous text. The question should have been, is it a fact that nuclear waste or material is being buried on the Riverton City dump site or within close proximity? And my answer is, I don't know, but it's worth pursuing. If so, by whom and why in the city and not some other isolated area? Well, we would first need to establish if this is in fact so before we go off on speculation and so on and so forth. Let's go back to the phone lines. 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dervan.
Good afternoon.
Yesterday, as I said, I hear my both of
And we really want to hear both of you. So, you know, the usual thing, try and help us if you can in terms of your level, your volume.
I don't know why I have a problem when I'm talking. But yesterday, Mark really taking that the what and what that Calvin said, done and so on and so forth. I Mark have to know that Jamaica is just 144 square mile. I think 144 square mile. And there are some things that you cannot do. But one of the things I hear that I know look is the avocado. Yeah. Because I think that we have some of the best avocado in the world. And we are not in Jamaica have anywhere where you can find the avocado. And I think that the time has come when we have to look at some of the things we are blessed to have. And we keep going and then avocado can just go on the side. It is, you know, it don't have to be the level up. And I think that as a country and the government of this country have never tried to grow avocado that we can get into export. Because I know some of these things that the avocado I want to say about this time from our avocado. It is a premium as it grew on the cost.
Marco, how are you doing, sir? How long can we set your program?
That is one of the costs. And it goes so well all over the nation. Like it's saying in the Calvert area. Because you use the level land in Montana. Or you at Montana this year.
Yes. Yes, I was there. Mm-hmm.
I was there, but I didn't stay long this year. And this year I didn't carry it. I know we have been at home because we didn't get no rain this year.
So it's 2 years in a row that you didn't get to press flesh, so to speak.
No.
It's not?
To be honest, I wasn't looking for you on the day this year because I never know you were there.
Oh, okay.
So this year I was and you know I couldn't see you to press flesh. So, but you know, I always say that I don't think we have enough land to become sufficient. Yeah. But I think we can do more college, you know, more. We can produce more milk like we are doing well in summer and so on. But I think avocado that can plant all over Jamaica because
Yes, otherwise known as pear.
here, yeah, man,
Mm.
avocado here. And the thing that some of these things you be sure about the place. Nobody plant them and just that they throw away the pear and that is just automatically grow itself. And I think the time has come when the Ministry of Agriculture and the government has to look at some of the things and that you can do and do well. You know, you can take two mango, but you know, we have you can some mango can you can have banana and fly what they call it, fly. But you have something that affects avocado. And I don't know other country how we don't look at going to here and like that. I would like market. I would like to know his market. And because you always like to come to Jamaica currently. And the other thing I hear talking about is right by mountain, but the great river supplies the good and so on. But if you really need bottled water, you would have to go some area up to the inner part of where the border is that access is there. Those water is so pure that you can just go there and catch them and drink them because there's no pollution of that. Right? I think it's not thinking about bottled water and that's the area that you just doing it. And as I said to Simon that I want to get back to you to get him on, but you know, but I think that he really has a good idea with it. I think that the avocado and I think that we are doing this well with action. I think we can go with need more action go because Aki, you know, Aki. I did a something. I have a sister, and she went to live in British Virgin Islands, and they have a sister over there. And when she happened, she went to Portugal there, and the people are in a Carnival and those countries. So that has been something that can be. So, you know, I don't think that as a country, we must realize that we have to do things that will earn us for it.
It's now or never.
That's all right, my brother.
Mhm.
And some of us that have access to the radio, like myself and some of the callers, we should start knowing yourself, start pushing these people because it, we can't go on that and those things. The Americans will come, is going to come down and we cannot support us because some of the terrorists you are coming abroad, you don't know who they are poor black people, and you can't tell them about the dream that pretend for why to get away with that. I think you should go to prison for this, something like that. But I think the agriculture, the agriculture college, like the one in Portland, it started looking into this area. And the students that go there will have to understand that some of the marginal, they have some marginal land that's owned by government that you can set up fruit road and our things are really top class, like our coffee, our cocoa, those our spice, like cinnamon and so on and so forth. You know, berry. I don't know full time berry. And I think the time has come when we start to look at some of the areas that go because even the quality, some some parish, the quality is better than some other in some other parish. So we take a scientific approach and try to deal with this thing. I don't want to burn your corner, so I just need it here for today, my brother. I am going to start to talk along like this, and not on this. I love your and I love the people who call you and talk to you. I love it. I know it, but I will not talk. I'm more on the productive side because I think that you really seriously we got to grow the economy. And we want to grow the economy that we can take people out of poverty and have them become in the middle class. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for the call. Take care. Bye bye. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Let's continue with your calls, 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Good afternoon.
Public educator.
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Thanks, no. Your life or food. And man, to what the most desirous is humble and thankful that, you know.
Amen.
Yeah, man. Tell me something. Farmers and bellies send troops in Jamaica to get training. You get that information?
Yeah, they're Canadian. It's a team from Canada. Safety and security. Let's see. Right. So the story is that the Canadian government would send 70 soldiers to Jamaica to prepare Caribbean community CARICOM forces to combat gang wars in Haiti. The military training is part of the UN's response to the continuing violence between multiple armed groups aiming to take over parts of the country. And the story goes on. It says the death toll from the conflict increased to more than 1,500 by March, according to the UN. And let's see, there's a bit more. There are pictures. Canada to begin military training support for Haiti in Jamaica under Ottawa's Operation Helios. The Canadian Armed Forces will teach CARICOM personnel core peacekeeping and combat first aid skills. The operation will also incorporate exercises between participating troops to boost tactical support for local Haitian forces. Most Canadian trainers will be drawn from the 1st Battalion, Royal 22E Regiment. Sessions will be held. Well, we'll come back to that in just a moment.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
4:01 on Power 106.
Power 106 FM, the digital sound, and now reaching you in more ways. Listen to us on 106.1 to 106.9 on the FM band. You can also listen to us on the Power 106 FM app, which you can download on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can tune in on your mobile phones by dialing 631-359-8281 if you're in the US. And if you're in the UK, you can dial 0330-606-0953. Plus, listen to us on OneSpotMedia.com and the OneSpot Media app, or log on to go-jamaica.com. Power 106 FM, where all views can contend, giving you powerful talk radio in so many ways, on air and online.
Just to complete the information that Ras Lloyd wants us to share, that sessions will be held at Ottawa's Operational Support Hub in Jamaica, commonly used for Canadian Air Force logistics missions throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. Approximately 330 CARICOM warfighters from Jamaica, Belize, and the Bahamas will receive training under Operation Helios. The UN strategy passed in October 2023 stipulated that the military operation for Haiti would leverage multinational security support instead of an official union force to coordinate with the Haitian National Police in maintaining peace across the country. The deployment will run for a year and include a review after the first 9 months. For this cause, about 1,000 Kenyans will be sent to Port-au-Prince, while partner nations plan to contribute more than 2,500 military personnel. Before Ottawa's latest announcement, the government pledged 80.5 million Canadian dollars, 59.4 million in February, to advance the multinational security support mission for Haiti. A month earlier, Canada completed a prerequisite training course focusing on civilian protection, conduct and discipline, and conflict-related sexual violence for approximately 300 CARICOM troops. The project is mandatory for service members participating in UN-sanctioned peacekeeping missions. And there is more, but you can read on your own because we have other matters to cover.
US sanction. So that's why we see US, France, Canada, and America and England, all of them gathered down in a high level talk. But this was them purpose, taking counsel against I and I, black people in the world, a country like Haiti with a black population. What's true, we have struggled so long to stand up as a proud black independent nation in the world, And these nations, France and America, remember France won and then colonized America occupied much the investment years and then now let's out it. Now we see them draft them overseas armed force, them puppet armed force where them train, in the CARICOM here, to send them over to
No, these are professionals, These are not touts or some other clique. These are professionally. No, I'm telling you what their training is. What do you consider to be your profession?
Righteousness is my dancing. Do right. So me I say when we see Bagwan is a genocide one commit by these former colonial leaders,
They will tell you to the contrary, that they are seeking to play their part in minimizing the fallout from any major upsurge in the country.
Haiti is a sovereign country.
As far as I know, yes.
So when America, France, and all these colonizers and CARICOM go to business in a Haiti business. This democracy constitutional monarchy system of government dictatorship, with divide the continent and its people. See it? They set us against ourselves. The JDFR who have come from Bahamas, we don't have no heart to myself. We don't have no heart to pull myself, the thing to pull myself. When we make these nations, kind of a very interest. And the people have Haiti interest, a very black people interest in the world, make another Haiti, or America interest. We have Spanish, you know.
the pledge to cut us off from being a pro-black independent nation worldwide. You know, every leader will come and stand up for any country, will come and stand up in our Africanness. When I support to them interest, them assassinate them. From the continent come right down to Jamaica. Yeah. You know, see, them assassinate them and punish them. You know, see, so people like I and I, here with a black population of Jamaica, who bring civilization to the world. How we can turn ourselves in a set of puppets, so. Eh? How we can turn puppets in this judgment like we can't keep to ourselves. We have no eye. We secure ourselves. What done to us as a nation of people worldwide, anywhere we're in the world. At the same thing, they set us against ourselves, to kill ourselves. You know, see? Why them continue to exploit us. You know, in the country where they want to control the resources. Where they want to send this judgment from the days of slavery, you know, America, England, France, and this Jamaica government, puppet government, to not satisfy yet.
So why would they want to hurt you again?
Why do they want to hurt me?
Yes.
Why do you think them want to hurt us? They want to cut us off from being a proud black independent nation, and them alone. Them want for themselves.
So who is being stopped from doing that?
Who being stopped from doing what?
What you said.
I and I, the black world of people, we don't get a chance to scratch. You know, because we have been.
You don't get a chance to do what?
To scratch to set up ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Ourselves independent in the world, because we have been oppressed by every nation, by the Chinese, the Indian, Britain, all of them. Slave us and we never slave none. And divide us as a people and set us against ourselves. And it's not about this time to we as black people anywhere in the world to ourselves, like we have a black importer now. Or we never turn ourselves in a puppet, America and Canada.
But you're already undermining the operation and those involved. So they may as well just kick over the bucket.
You have one now. A man here one gun, you couldn't go take it for your fight against him, you know. So that's why our father told us we couldn't take up arms to fight this one. This one is a spiritual warfare, you know, a black education, you know, a black consciousness of ourselves as a people, you know, we need to turn, you know, black pride, you know, black culture, you know, black government, black parliament, black kingdom, black empire, Ethiopia crown, you know, see? So we are watching Jamaica government and I the freedom fighter here in Jamaica. Yeah. We know that the government of Jamaica, the two political parties, after no vote at the sector, you know, they see the vote for a British sovereignty, rule over it, you know, see. And here that state, we have no talk down here. We have no talk, they do anything with them want to do.
You don't have any what? You don't have any what?
We don't have any talk.
You don't have any talk? Really? Are you serious?
In their government.
How much airtime have we given you?
In their government. Well, we can still play the years and I'm not serious note calling up and all CARICOM leaders. You know, see, if we stand in the strength and pride of an African sovereignty, you know, the man say we are through the lifeline, you know. Here's a brother and sister who someone could save, you know. Them thinking in anguish where they have never been, you know what I'm saying? So we return to the idea of Rastafari, philosophy and teaching, you know, amongst yourself as a country with a black population. And you are puppet in this judgment to America and France and England. You know what I'm saying? Because the man said, you come more from now, you know what I'm saying? America will come and I want a white soldier and them will call. They might come and come indoor, you know, and we sit a full field and they might go call to a change about.
That's going to happen where?
In Jamaica here. So King Emmanuel said, America will come and they might go call to a change about. Because they might train, you know, they man Canada, train the armed force down here. So they might go call to a change about to disarm the black armed force are contingent to the here in Jamaica, you know. So the man told them to hold on pound of gun, you know, to defend for yourself, our nation. You know, like all them are going to like puppet not telling all over the world to go fight against them kill ourselves, put we are back to front. You know, see, We see them interest, and we can't do it in this judgment that like we get a lick in our head. Yeah? Why we can't see ourselves? Marcus Garvey said we're not dead, you know. The black man and the black woman is not dead, we are only sleeping. Alright, alright, alright. And give Rastafari the glory, you know. Now black spirituality, you know, where everyone of us can relate to, you know, something African, you know, our Africanness, our blackness, black pride, the man to be young and gifted and black is a lovely, precious thing, you know. There's a world waiting for us, you know, a black continent, a black world of people, black royal sovereign nation, kingdom, you know, not Commonwealth. Commonwealth is a Britain, you know, colonialism and imperialism. Nation wealth kingdom is something, you know. Africa, with all its natural wealth and resources, it's the I and I, black sons and daughters of the world. So we must reach for the equality, the stars of equality and justice that is on the continent for us as a people, anywhere it is. And remember, the African diaspora, the purpose is to work, you know, spiritual and temporal, and build a continent of our own. You know, see? Get the most high. Holy Emmanuel, that's right.
Jah Rastafari.
So, take wise counsel, Prime Minister Andrew Holmes and Mark Bolin, you know, because the people then vote for him, so over that then do vote for him, you know. After they have freedom and get to vote for him, but after that, they can't talk to him, no do anything on no hand, you know. Britain, America, and Canada run Jamaica, you know. So make we come out of Jamaica backyard as Prime Minister Andrew Holmes start from Bloomberg.
Take kindly to the council.
Say Jamaica is America backyard and we always support America. You know see? So earthquake, lightning and thunder in America backyard, you know. America backyard is very to the black man, my lord.
All right. Thank you very much for the call, Ras Lloyd. All the best. Take care.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now 4:15. Is our real belief jacket anyway you breathe. It's a tough for protein and you think enough vitamins work is a real belief jacket anyway you breathe. Delicious nutrition is full of it and easy. That makes you sweet. Pork is a real belief. Jamaican pork, always a healthy choice. The tastier protein choice. A message from the Jamaica Beef Farmers Association.
It's riveting, thought-provoking, and interesting. It's the morning agenda on Power 106 FM. Weekdays, 7:15 to 9 a.m. Join Jody and Quarry on Mondays and Tuesdays, and Sanjay Luce on Wednesdays and Thursdays, while they alternate on Fridays, as they set your agenda and break down the issues, and keep you informed on what matters to you most. It's the morning agenda on Power 106 FM. Weekdays, 7:15 to 9 a.m. only on Power 106 FM.
But you still be greater and lesser persons than yourself.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Good afternoon to all the students listening to us, all the schoolers from the early childhood level to the secondary level. Trust you had a productive day of learning today. Hope you also managed to get in some physical activity, just as important as mental activity. As we always say, young people, socialization makes you educable, education makes you trainable, training makes you employable, and the right attitude makes you successful. Homework time, young people. Here's a message in reference to former Prime Minister Patterson. Slim in build, slow of speech, sharp with wit, and sure of words. He speaks in measured tones, but prudently and perceptively, never missing the essence of issues, and never needing to apologize for statements. Happy birthday, PJ Patterson. And then this person goes on to say, play the song Little Black Boy by Gypsy. This is loved by PJ from Patrick Howell. Well, do we have that selection? Little Black Boy by Gypsy, the Calypsonian Gypsy, G-I, is it, or G-Y-P-S-I-E? All right, we'll see if we're able to find it. This one says, I thought PJ would be publishing poetry by now. He told us something missing. He told us then when he is on retirement, he told us that when he was on retirement, he would be publishing poetry, says Barry. This one from somebody with one of those monikers. Where is it? Flascusia. Dervan, good afternoon. Did you know that a structure with rotten wood somehow will pop down? This ministry led by Andrew is very shaky, says Flascusia. Thank you very much for your message, Flascusia. Roy Lawrence says, hello, teacher. The Gleaner was formed to fight anti-Semitism by the Jewish community. Check it, please. Thanks. Gracias. All right, we'll check it. And all right, we'll come back to those messages, but let's go back to the phone lines. 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, just want to make some quick comments. It is comic relief to hear rap style. And in the evening, sometimes we don't hear him. I am not human. He's very humorous. And that's all. His utterances can be adding up to. Because even before the white man went down to Africa, so I am an African. My ethnicity is that I'm an African, and my nationality is Jamaican. Because from pulling out a form and the name, country, then Jamaica, and my nationality is Jamaican, and my ethnicity is African proud. But if I were to go follow him, I wouldn't be proud of being African, because in utterances are comical. Before the white man went down to Africa, I'm not saying the white man were not wicked and cruel and so on. I think they are very wicked, cruel, you name it. Some of the things that I, as a teacher, learn and read in history. Sometimes I said I shouldn't, I don't, I'm not quite glad that I learned. It's the terrible thing that the white man did to the Africans. I agree with that. However, I submit that African tribes were in war before the white man got out here. And they are in war right now in Ethiopia, Ethiopia and the one, in Uganda, in Nigeria. In the last 5, 10 or so years, even since this year and last year, there's hardly an election that is held in any African country where the opposition will say it's rigged. From Nigeria to Senegal to Sierra Leone, you name them. So
black people.
Such is the case in other countries as well, you know. It's not, but I get the point you're making. But it's you usually at some point find some dissonance when it comes to agreeing on the outcome of an election. If it suits you, you go up and you talk about all these wonderful things that will be done and so on and so forth. And uh, if you don't, if you don't like the outcome, then some people try to just mash up the place, so to speak.
But the point I'm making, sir, is that he's saying Africa heaven.
Oh,
That's the point I'm making. And it's all right, don't get nice and it's heaven, and we should all try to go back there. In fact, it is our duty that we should go back there. We are not going to go back there, we go there and visit. And I have nothing against Africans, just like I don't have anything against white man and so on. I'm not saying that, I'm saying that he's saying it's heaven. Don't get nice. Africa is nice and everything is fine.
you think otherwise?
I don't think Africa is better off than anywhere else in terms of offending. I don't think Africa is better than Jamaica, for example.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to leave Jamaica and go to Africa. That's the point I'm making. And even if it is better off than Jamaica, I'm going to give him that. Now, let's say that I am saying it is now heaven, and it's not perfect as he's putting it. That is my point. So if I give him this, say, all right, let's say Nigeria is better than Jamaica, Sudan is better than Jamaica. Okay, I give you that. The point is, I think they are having hell in Sudan. You hear much thousands and millions of people have been displaced in Sudan. And what is going in Nigeria, you name them. Boko Haram come and kidnap the girls them and carry them gone already in Africa. Right? The point I'm making is, I wouldn't want to go back there to live. To go there to live, and I want to go there. I have nothing against it as such. But I prefer Jamaica to there. Right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the choice is yours. You're
I'm saying I believe I should send of many Jamaicans. Right? And he has a right to say what he's saying. Right? That is just that I don't agree with him and so on. I think Marcus Garvey was a great man and so on. And the last thing, to see in Jamaica, real Jamaicans don't have anybody talk up for them. The PNP, Jamaicans who are PNP, have PNP people talk every day, call on the radio and talk on their behalf. The PNP people in Jamaica. The JLP people, because the PNP and the JLP, the JLP put them party first before Jamaica. The JLP is the same thing. They put their party first. They will not say that. But everything is a party. So if you're not PNP and you're not JLP, you have to say, nobody knows they talk up for you. Because the ordinary poor Jamaicans have nobody to talk up for them. Right? Rasta have somebody to talk up to them. Stage Rasta like all over the year. Rasta have a lot of talk here. If Rasta have people talk on the radio a lot about Rasta, and Rasta is the right thing. The ordinary poor Jamaican don't have nobody to talk up for them. You know, so that's how it is. I am a Jamaican first. So, commendation to Mr. Lloyd. I hope he will call all the way because sometimes it feels sad when he talks, he gets to laugh.
Thank you very much for the call. All the best.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. A call came through on our text line, same as the WhatsApp number. Let's give a listen in just a moment. Well, just for the last 1 minute and 15 seconds. All right. So let's go to the other line then. Okay, this is Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dervan.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, man, and thanks to the man, and I like the man that express their varied opinions. That's what freedom is about. And even about Africa, USA, the black man himself, you know, the diversity and the expression of freedom is Jamaica's probably unparalleled in the world, you know.
Mhm.
So we must allow the world to give Africa all the Bible, you know. The man might say, as whole as it is like still in infancy, because of God make it to be. There's troubles and trials and crashes and wars all over the world. Congo, America, some of them sell out the soul. And I can tell the person there's nothing more important than justice. Justice is. If something go by the law and court order, I can find a greater discrimination in America. You than grave versus city and work. And Jamaica like gaslight a puppet. We will read and write after we go to school. After Marcus, then we don't never like Marcus. Remember, Jesus Christ never rob and thief, you know. Jesus Christ cannot heal and kill, cannot feed people with a bit of food and take tons. And then choose Barabbas. So what's new in the world? We support Israel, because people can wear pum shots at Palestine, Iraq, and so forth. People must rise up. But when you go war in the world, you from Genesis to Revelation. And then they conquer the African youth. Have a blessed day.
This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Let's go to another call. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dervan. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm fine, thanks. And you?
I am well, and good afternoon to your audience.
Thank you on their behalf.
I heard someone mention that today was PJ Patterson's birthday.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I
do not know, but I would like to say that I reside here in Brooklyn, and I can recall in 2004, that was the 200.
Sorry, hold a moment. Tell us some more after the break, please. One moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now 4:30. Importers. Shipments requiring you to pay customs duties and taxes are cleared on a customs goods declaration known as an IM4 or IMS4. Ask your clearing agent to provide your customs declaration, customs assessment notice, and customs receipt once duties and taxes are paid. Where your clearing agent may not be able to provide the IM4 or IMS4, request your customs goods declaration registration number or C number, which can be used to verify your payments. Importers, request your IM4, IMS4, or C number. It is your right. For details, email the Jamaica Customs Agency at public.relations@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story.
Please continue.
Yes, as I was saying, I can recall in 2004 when I think it was Aristide was in office at the time, and they were in the process of commemorating the 200th anniversary of the liberation, the independence of Haiti. And Aristide we were told that Aristide left voluntarily and was taken to the Central African Republic. And I think it was who was the Prime Minister at the time? I think it was Sister P. And then you had the Bushes were in at the time, and you had Condoleezza Rice was the Secretary of State. And she came and made a pronouncement that he was not to return to the Western Hemisphere. And Pete J. Patterson took it upon himself to come and declare that Aristide was a a member of CARICOM, a brother of the Caribbean. And Condoleezza, how dare she have the audacity to say he should not come back anywhere in the Western Hemisphere. And what he did was to send out a plane to go and retrieve him and bring him back. And when they got there, if he had gone voluntarily, he would have been able to come on his own volition, but he was not able to. He was under house arrest. So that exposed the lie that he left voluntarily. He was kidnapped, okay, by France because he had asked for reparations. He said, listen, don't worry, give me aid. Give me the money that you extorted, the 150 million gold francs. Give it back to us with interest compounded over $30 billion. And after declaring that, he was then kidnapped, okay? And Jamaica exposed the lie and brought him back to the Caribbean, Jamaica specifically. I am saying that was so heroic. I felt so proud at the time, okay? So what we see going on now, where our current leadership could not even vote to assist. Look at even what occurred with the genocide in Gaza. They had to abstain. To me, it is embarrassing. Okay, it's exposing the lack of any kind of testicular fortitude. Where is the morality? Why are we compromising our dignity? And we have always maintained a level of principle, okay, that the world recognizes. And here it is now, we are compromising it for what? Okay? It's embarrassing, man. It's immoral, okay? And the gentleman who seems to have an issue with Russ Lloyd, okay? And he seems so angry. And I think Russ Lloyd is correct, okay? Because what I am hearing from the gentleman that called is a lack of understanding about colonialism, imperialism, our enslavement, the pressures that African countries had gone under just to try to maintain their independence, because you have so many outside influences trying to undermine their sovereignty to get access to their resources. Okay? We understand the difficulty, the struggles that go on the continent. It's not perfect. Okay? And it's going to take time to rebuild and to become truly independent. So I don't understand why there is this attitude towards us loving ourselves and having a desire to repatriate and to build Africa. It doesn't mean that it's going to be built at the exclusion of Jamaica, but we have to have a relationship, a back and forth. But Jamaica need that. Jamaica need to have a relationship with Africa. If you're going to Africa now, you see a lot of Europeans going. You hardly see us going because they understand. They're going there to see how they can get what they can get to enhance themselves, which they have always done at our expense. Okay? Capitalism and slavery. Or Europe underdeveloped Africa. Our scholars have analyzed that from the 50s, the 60s. Come on, man. We're supposed to know these things by now. Europe's development was at the expense of the underdevelopment, the impoverishment of Africa. Okay? So we now have to understand the importance of Africa, the richest continent in the world, with all of those resources under the earth that God gave us. We were never ordained to be poor. We're not poor. Okay? We just have to undo the colonial conditioning that occurs not just there but here.
Reverse the curse.
Gentlemen, pardon me?
Reverse the curse.
That's correct. That's the generational curse. Because we have all of what we need because God gave us that under the earth. Gave us all the riches we need to empower ourselves. But our minds were short-circuited by the trauma that we went through. Okay? And that is what we should be doing. In order to empower ourselves, we should show our children the future that is there for us, the untapped potential. And that's how Jamaica is going to develop with a relationship with Africa. Because Europe is on the decline. Okay? They have squandered their ill-gotten gains and they're on the way out. Africa has the youngest population. They're an aging population. They're dying faster than they're giving birth. So they're headed towards extinction. Okay? And that is why you have the Trump mentality coming now. And it's not going to be pretty. So we have to be looking now at our future. Africa is the future. And Jamaica is going to be dependent on Africa. That's why you see you have the BRICS, the movement with the BRICS. Okay? And that is why Russia is being punished because she's aligning with Asia and Africa. So that is the future. And we need to understand that dynamic and start to educate our children and even the crime rate we're seeing in Jamaica. That's part of our low self-esteem, or the fact that we feel less than other people because of the kind of colonial curriculum that we have. Okay? And in order for us now to see value in ourselves, we have to resurrect our African identity. So we can have that self-pride and we can understand the contribution, our ancestral legacy that we have to tap into in order to chart the course to the future. Okay? And the future belongs to us, man. All right?
Yes.
Because the West is dying. So let's understand the dynamic and start to focus on the reality that is there. That is our inheritance and our legacy, and we should claim it. And if we don't, others will claim it again, as they did in the past.
Well, we thank you very much for playing your part in adding value to this afternoon's edition of Both Sides of the Story. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you, Dervan.
All the best. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Here is another message. Good day, Mr. Dervan. As preachers of righteousness, we shouldn't debate on tithing, but rather repentance now more than ever. Churchman. Thank you for your message, Churchman. Also, Neville, otherwise known as Salah, says, Miss Mervis, tithes and offering have not been mentioned in the New Testament anywhere. She is to follow the New Testament, and she can be wrong. We're now living under the grace of God. He purchased our sins by shedding his precious blood upon the cross so we can have life and have it more abundant. All of our sins have been already purchased. God doesn't need money. All that we need is to come to the cross. Salah from Kingston. Thank you, Salah from Kingston, for your message. Here is another. Sir Malcolm, let me express condolences to the immediate and Kingston Technical High School family for the life of the late Mr. Robert Bobby Coswell, who departed this life April 8, 2024. He was an excellent maths, technical drawing, and physics teacher. May he rest in peace. Patrick Howell. We join you in conveying condolences. Thank you for sharing, the circumstances notwithstanding. And there is another. Cuban in Georgia, as usual, has a whole lot to say. and it's a lot of ground to cover. Whoa. Good afternoon, Sir Malcolm. Why isn't there any plan to increase water supply to the public? Why is this government feeling it is satisfied to have poor people, including children, carrying buckets of water on their heads? This carrying of heavy buckets on the head can lead to injury to the brain. Why can't there be investment in water infrastructure? Giving MPs money to distribute to the public is wrong and corrupt. Why are we paying for state agency which is of no help to the public and its corruption? We need to see a ramp up in the production of sugar, coffee, bananas, orange and grapefruit, avocado, herbs and spices to make sure our food security is in good standing with the people. Happy birthday to former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson. Long live the king, says Cuban in Georgia. Sir Malcolm, we have to invest more in our greatest assets, the Jamaican man and woman and our kids. Sir Malcolm, education and training are our only hope at this moment to elevate our nation out of years of neglect by the government. The oppression has to stop. So that is why I'm encouraging the young people to get education and training, get something to do to keep the mind occupied at all times. Study in math, science, economics, and technology. Study, study, study. Sir Malcolm, how much tons of bananas did we export last year? I don't know. We could ask our friends at Jamaica producers. We need a man like Robert Lightburn and Roger Clark to fix the agriculture industry. These guys are making backdoor deals with foreign powers without any consultation with the taxpayers and signing deals. Re-Haitians. This is not work of the people, and who's authorizing these deals? And isn't this a constitutional matter? Because I know that no CARICOM country should attack another CARICOM country. Who says that's what's going to happen? The something here missing cannot help Black people because, the UN cannot help Black people because the UN was set up to oppress Black people and do whatever with them. Let's go to the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45.
Importers. Shipments requiring you to pay customs duties and taxes are cleared on a customs goods declaration known as an IM4 or IMS4. Ask your clearing agent to provide your customs declaration, customs assessment notice, and customs receipt once duties and taxes are paid. Where your clearing agent may not be able to provide the IM4 or IMS4, request your customs goods declaration registration number or C number, which can be used to verify your payments. Importers, request your IM4, IMS4, or C number. It is your right. For details, email the Jamaica Customs Agency at public.relations@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
The Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, as part of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, will be hosting its PATH Top Achievers Award Ceremony 2024 under the theme, Celebrating Empowerment Through Education. Join Power 106 FM for a live broadcast of Power Talk this Thursday, April 11 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. from the Spanish Court Hotel, 1 St. Lucia Avenue, Kingston, for coverage of the event. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, providing opportunity, stability, and social protection. That's a live broadcast of Power Talk from the PATH Top Achievers Award Ceremony this Thursday, April 11 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Spanish Court Hotel in Kingston, right here on Power 106 FM.
Is possible without surrender. Be on good terms with all prisoners. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. them the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself.
To complete the reading of these messages, Cuban in Georgia says Jamaicans have to reject the NIDS and remove ourselves from the Samosas agreement and disassociate ourselves from all the deals this government signed into law. Sir Malcolm, we must abolish capitalism. This system is not for the poor. So how can we support a system that is against all Black people and a system of thieves, corruption, and crime and greed? Away with capitalism, it's dead. Sir Malcolm, let us stop calling them white nationalists and call them the blue eye man. Well said, caller. Muchas gracias, says Cuban in Georgia. Thank you for your message, Cuban in Georgia. Patrick Howell says, Sir Malcolm, I just want to say thanks to the caller for giving us a history of Africa. Ras Lloyd is no fool or someone to mock, but one whose African history is rich. Thank you for your message. 876-922-4112 the numbers to call. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number. We see Viziniri in Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland, messaging us. And we thank you for your message. As we continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Let's see if we can take you to the archives for a bit and see what we have here. Certainly a lot of information. We'll do our best to serve the information in bite sizes. And so here, a bit of religious history pertinent to Jamaica. Dr. Christopher Lipscomb was installed as the first Anglican Bishop of Jamaica in the parish church of St. Catherine. Lipscomb was consecrated a bishop July 1924 by the Archbishop of Canterbury and arrived in Jamaica February 11, 1925. On this day in 1930, the parochial board appointed a committee to make arrangements for the formal opening of the Falmouth Courthouse, which was rebuilt after being destroyed by fire. The rebuilding of the Falmouth Courthouse was completed towards the end of 1929. The board formally took over from the contractors on November 28. It met for the first time in the refurbished building on December 12. And so on this day in 1930, the board appointed a committee to make arrangements for the formal opening of the courthouse. 1934, Sir Alexander Ransford Slater ended his tenure as governor of Jamaica. On this day in 1934, Sir Alexander Ransford Slater left Jamaica with his wife and family, boarding the ship at midnight and sailing in the early hours of the morning without any pomp. It was disclosed that Governor Slater was hypertensive and had not been in the best of health for some time. He thought it best to retire, bringing his brief 17-month tour of duty in Jamaica to an end. 1935, P.J. Patterson was born at 13 Russell Road in Crossroads in St. Andrew, at the home of his mother's cousin, Catherine Brooks, a midwife. His mother is Ina James, a school teacher in Hanover, and his father, Henry Patterson, a small farmer. 1935, the first exhibition mounted by the Jamaica Horticultural Society, which was formed less than a year earlier out of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, was held at the Michael College in St. Andrew. 1942, the Carib Theatre in Crossroads, St. Andrew, began its fourth happy birthday celebrations with a special matinee show on its stage featuring the Milton McPherson Orchestra with Ben Barr's guest artist and singer Rose Birbari, the sweetest of song. The anniversary movie was Kathleen with child star Shirley Temple. 1950, starting boxes were used for the first time in Jamaica for race meetings in 3 of the 9 races at Knutsford Park in St. Andrew. And let's see here. 1950, Alice Bartley won the title of Miss Mitchell Town when she was selected from a field of 7 contestants by sole judge Alexander Bustamante, member of the House of Representatives for South Clarendon, who described the contest as the highlight of an Easter fair held by the Citizens Association on the lawns of Obi Maraj, member of the parochial board. Prizes were presented by Bustamante to all contestants. 1950, 5 men, 5 women, and 3 children were killed when a Caribbean International Airways plane on its first scheduled flight to Grand Cayman crashes into the sea off the Palisados Airport in Kingston moments after taking off. It is the first fatal accident in the history of commercial flights to take place in Jamaican airspace. There is only one survivor, who is saved by Corporal Harold Bakey of the Jamaica Regiment, who swam out in the choppy seas and rescued LL Colonel E. Remington Hobbs, an English manufacturer doing business in Montego Bay, St. James. 1954, the first woman, Rose Hall, is appointed to the post of Assistant Accountant at the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, CIBC, at its only branch at the corner of King and Harbour Streets. 1954, British film actress Virginia McKenna and her husband Bill Travis, who were vacationing in Jamaica, went nightclub hopping and ended up at Dancing Calypso to Count Lasher's band at Johnson's Drive-In on Maxfield Avenue. I think that is now a plaza. Until the wee hours of the morning. She is tickled pink when her husband whispers and explains the meaning of Lasher's song, Water the Garden, which was explained to him by one of the waiters. 1958, Iris King became the first female mayor of Kingston. That's right, 1958. On this day in 1958, Iris King became the first female mayor of Kingston. She served until 1960. Iris King later became a member of the House of Representatives. Colleen Yap became the second female mayor of Kingston and the first person of Chinese descent to become mayor. She served from 1982 until 1984. Marie Atkins became the third female mayor of Kingston and the longest serving, holding the position for about 14 years from 1989 until 2003. Marie Atkins also became president of the World Conference of Mayors. And, well, there are other changes that happened. Fast forward to 2012, for example, and Kingston had its fourth female mayor in the person of Angela Brown Burke, who was sworn in as the 53rd mayor of Kingston on Monday, April 2, back in, oh Lord, look at the time. We have to wrap. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Wednesday, the 10th of April, 2024. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, Both Sides of the Story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care.
You're listening to Pearl 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
news, comprehensive, powerful, and credible.
Power 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's
Bye.
news at 5.